Hey everybody, welcome back to the GamerNerdz Now Loading podcast. I know it's been a while. We haven't done any podcast or review or...
You can tell it's been a while because he starts talking like 18th century British. It's been a while.
I'm just stalling. Okay, so we're going to do something really strange. One, it's been a while since we've done anything. Two, we're coming back with a podcast that's not necessarily about video games. We're talking about...
Well, you know what? It's so goddamn dead at this time of the year. Like, there's no major game releases. You know, there's Kingdom Hearts. There's going to be the 3DS soon. But right now, it is a down period. Even the news is slow. So, we're going to do something special, Voice.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the movie, The Dark Knight Rises. We're going to talk about, did it end the way it should have ended? Are we happy with how it ended? About certain interpretations of the ending. And he's nodding his head. You guys can't see this.
There's no interpretation. If you haven't seen the movie, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's major spoilers. We're going to reveal everything. So you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take it away.
All right, so just getting to The Dark Knight Rises, was this the way to end it? Did Christopher Nolan,
yes,
you know,
absolutely. There is like the past 2 movies have all been about Bruce Wayne taking over or becoming Batman, but letting go for Rachel before she died, for Selena Kyle in this film. And he becomes Batman in the first film. He takes over him in the second film. The third film, he lets go at the very beginning because you see he's been 8 years without being Batman. Handing it off to this guy named Robin, who I don't think is going to become Robin. I think he'll either become the next Batman or Nightwing.
Well, for sure, Christopher Nolan will not be, you know, pushing that one on because he mentioned that this is his last Batman. But you know what? He did say it's his last Batman, but he didn't say it would be his last.
No, he's done.
You know, maybe it could be like Nightwing. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. What I loved about Christopher Nolan's approach to Batman is that he put an end to it. Now, in other Batman movies, they pretty much just follow the comics, the cartoons, where Batman was just forever, you know, infinite in a sense. Whereas in this one, Batman was aware of the fact that he was, you know, mortal and he could die, and he had to put an end to Batman at some point. And I think
he created. I think he, you know, when he flies off with that nuclear bomb attached to the bat, and you know, there's a clip where people didn't realize, but he leaves clues as to why he's still alive. Like he's the one who fixed the autopilot. He fixed the bat signal. They erect that statue in his name. So the legacy of Batman still lives on.
Yes.
He died in a fire explosion, even though he's in some cafe with Alfred and Selena Kyle and Dick, whoever this kid is, Dick Blake. Robin Blake becomes, you know, the next Batman.
Robin Blake? Is it John Blake?
No, but his real name is Robin.
Yeah, Robin.
And they did that because if he said his name was Dick Grayson, no one, unless you really follow the comics, you've been like, okay, who the hell is that?
Touching on the whole Robin character, because in this movie, he didn't necessarily put a Robin. In fact, he just names the guy Robin. That's his real name.
It's like if Robin Blake becomes Robin, then we should have been Bruce McBruceman or something. Like, yeah, exactly. You're not gonna name yourself your original name, right? So.
But I like how Christopher Nolan attacked Robin because he said from the beginning that he was not gonna have a Robin character.
He's lame.
He didn't want to have one. In the comics, there have been several Robins. There have been Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and I forget the name of the third one. But in the way he approached it, he kind of took all 3 different versions of Robin and kind of put them together to create one. At one point in the comics, Dick Grayson, he's a cop. And then the last Robin was the one that actually deduced that Batman was Bruce Wayne. And that's what happened in the movie. That's
one thing that I didn't like, actually, that he just found out, like, instantly, oh, I see that smile on your face, you must be Batman. And then Bruce is like, he's like, yeah, you're right, yeah, you know, I won't refute that. That's kind of like a little too sudden, but I guess in movie terms, you have to do it.
In all the Batman movies, well, you know, Christopher Nolan's Batman has always been really secretive about his, you know, who he is. You know, Batman is Bruce Wayne, but he doesn't let people know. In this one, it seems like as soon as everyone doubted him, he's like, I am Batman. You know, like
Selena Kyle finds out, Bay knows already, Dick Blake, whatever his name is, I'm sure Gordon finds out. You're like, yeah, everyone
knows. Christopher Nolan has a way in all his movies, including Inception, and I think he's done before Memento, of really just making people, you know, think about their lives. This is kind of, it's a really strange thing to say, but it's a strange thing to say, but like you walk out of the movie, you feel like, wow, like I feel like you've learned something. I didn't walk out of The Dark Knight Rises feeling like I watched a Batman movie. I felt like I watched something more intense, and the fact that he was able to do that with this series, and just, I don't know, for me it was the perfect ending. I loved it. A lot of people complained because there was not much action, and they were comparing a lot to Avengers, and they were looking for that kind of caliber of action.
But they can't, because Avengers it's a much more comic-y universe, and yes, it's Batman, and a lot of the stuff is implausible in this film, but it is set, quote unquote, in more realism. And I'm glad, this film is almost 3 hours long, and you don't see Batman until at least an hour into it, you know. And that scene where he appears, I went crazy. I was giggling like a little girl because you had the soundtrack from The Dark Knight. He comes back on the Bat Pod with this EMP gun, and that scene was all in IMAX. You better see in IMAX, by the way. Was shot beautifully. The music was fantastic, and I'm like, all right, it's gonna get,
When Batman comes out with a Bat Pod, is it a Bat Pod, Batwing?
The Bat Pod.
The Bat Pod, sorry. When he came out with that, and then the music, is it from Batman Begins too?
That one's from Dark Knight. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Either way, when it came on and that music came on, I was just like, because I was watching a movie with this girl, and I was trying to hold in my nerd, I was like, hold it in, Steve. I wanted to be like, yeah, it's so good. And okay, fine. There was not much fighting, but I think it made sense because although it's a Batman story, it really was the story of Bruce Wayne. It was about Bruce Wayne reinventing himself.
Absolutely. I think the reason why the Christopher Nolan movies have been good is because Batman is a secondary character.
Exactly.
It is about Bruce Wayne, it's about Alfred, it's about his villains, and I mean, Bane in this was, yes, the voice initially was kind of funny. In fact, the first scene you introduce him in, it was a very comical Sean Connery with there's someone else he's compared to, but Sean Connery, in a muffled mask, and I was like, really, this is it? But as he is this, because Bane gives a lot of speeches in this film. Tom Hardy played it masterfully. He's a menacing character, he's smart, he's calculating, and the first scene they fight, that was amazing because it's Batman acting I'm gonna kill you, and he got his ass kicked. It wasn't even funny. I cringed. The scene where he's punching his cowl in, that was hard to watch because you don't see that type of violence in the movie.
Well, that's the thing, I love the movie because at the beginning, Alfred is telling Batman, it's telling Bruce, Bruce, you haven't been Batman in a while, ease into it. And Bruce was like, no, I got this. I kicked your ass, I'll go ass at the beginning.
There's no cartilage on my leg, but I'll put this bionic arm thing and.
Okay, that's one thing I like. I like the fact that they showcase that all those years of just fighting has kind of ruined his body.
Taking his toll, yeah.
But yeah, he goes and fights Bane. He's unprepared. Bane breaks his back or dislocated a bone or whatever the hell he did. I'm just so happy that Christopher Nolan brought that in from the comics.
Because that's what Bane was. He's one of the smartest villains. He figured out who Bruce Wayne was on his own. And then he breaks his back and leads the way for Batman Beyond and all that. So they did a really good job to make him a smart character because he could have been Bane from the the
Bane bomb.
Some retarded guy in a stupid mask. And when I first saw the mask or his breathing apparatus for the pain he has, I was kind of like, okay, it kind of looks cheesy. Then I saw the film. Then I heard his theme song that okay, so
the chant.
It's Deshi Bashra, which means he rises roughly in Moroccan. But when I first heard it, I heard fish, fish, pasta, pasta, or this is awesome, awesome. This is awesome, awesome. Fish, fish, pasta, pasta. That theme was amazing.
So wait, did you think it was amazing when you thought it was fish, fish, pasta, pasta?
No, I mean I knew it was Deshi Bashra Bashra, but then I was reading some forums after. Everyone's like, "What the fuck was the music?" They're like, "Fish, fish, pasta, pasta, fish, fish, pasta, pasta," and now I can't unhear it because I work out to the Dark Knight theme. Anything by Hans Zimmer is my workout music, and Voice said, he gets caught in the Lazarus pit a lot, which means he gets stuck on the toilet and he can't crawl his way out, whatever. So he listens to why do we fall, and there's a point where the chorus swells up, and this is where Bruce Wayne finally climbs out of the Lazarus pit without the rope, which I thought was kind of silly because you're stuck in this pit in the middle of the desert. It's impossible, but here's a rope. And you can try as many times as you want,
Exactly.
Oh, you failed? Try it again. You failed? Try it again. Oh, you broke your back? No problem. Just, what is it? Relocate, put the bone back in and do some push-ups, and then, one thing that people were saying that, there's some complaints about the movie. It was kind of long, or Bane had a weird accent. But people were like, how did Batman get from the Lazarus pit back to Gotham unnoticed? And why was he shaved? How was he clean looking?
Okay,
I'm stuff like this. Really, seriously, get out of here.
I'm sure Bruce stopped at the dépanneur. So I'm sorry for you Americans. It's a convenience store. I'm sure
a convenience store.
Convenience store.
You said a convenience store.
I did. Okay, so it's not a funny store. It's convenience. What's it going with this?
I don't know. I think the coolest thing, like the fact that before Bane unveiled this whole plan to literally blow up Gotham, you know, I wasn't sure where the story was going with this environmentalist who eventually becomes Talia, which was a very big reveal, and this guy named Daggett who wants to take over, you know, and then this nuclear fusion reactor. So that whole thing about bankrupting him, that scene in the bank scene, or that whole sequence was really cool. And I think now that I've looked back at all three, and I watched Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight and Batman Begins before, and I think Bane is my favorite villain.
No, I still think I like Joker for being maniacal because he was just crazy.
But it's a different type of villain, though, right?
Exactly, they're all different. Ra's al Ghul was more calculating. Yeah. You know, the Joker was just insane, and Bane was like a mix of both. You know, like okay, this is one thing in the Dark Knight. You know, when the Joker killed people, it was more of an implication. I killed someone, but the camera was turned away. In this one, in the Dark Knight Rises, people die. Like
no, I mean like, well, okay,
which is good. I'm not complaining. It's amazing, but.
I mean, he break like the scene that's in the football field after they blow up the football field is really cool. He goes to the guy like, who is the only nuclear physician who can, you know, disarm this bomb. He's like, I am. He's like, okay, come here, and then just snaps his neck. I was like, oh shit, okay, let's do that.
You know the Talia reveal at the end, because in the movie when you know when at first I thought Bane was actually Ra's al Ghul's son, I was kind of like, what? That's not what happens in the comics. I was like, okay, whatever, maybe you know. He's going off on a tangent, creating his own little story from what he's seen in the comics. But then, at the end, they reveal Talia, and even though I know Talia is Ra's al Ghul's daughter, you know, from the comics, at the end, it's Talia, whatever.
Not Talia.
Talia took me by surprise, like complete surprise, and I was shocked.
I think I wasn't surprised because they focus a lot on this character. Because again, you get introduced to Marion Cotillard at the very beginning as this like, you know, rich environmentalist who wants to help restore or create this like power source for Gotham, and they just seem to focus a lot on her. And then I thought it was with the takeover before the guy gets his neck snapped.
His neck snack.
And then yeah, you know, out of nowhere she stabs Bruce. You know, like not a death blow, but here I'm gonna just wiggle this knife in your organs. You know, but I mean, like yeah, in the comic book she's Raz's daughter. She's a fighter and stuff, and I guess Marion Cotillard is not that type of actor because she died like a little baby.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
that was the cheesiest death.
The whole movie was epic, but her death was so bad, and like, and the camera pans to Batman and Gordon and Catwoman just looking at her. Like, it's like even they were like, "What the fuck was that?"
So another thing, so Selena Kyle now or Anne Hathaway. So when I read that she's gonna become Catwoman, I was, you know, I've only seen her in like girly girl movies, whatever, and I think she did a really good job at the role.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she was never explicitly called Catwoman.
Yeah.
And like, you know, her goggles, for example, which she used to like break in stuff, like when she flips them up, they look like cat ears. So like it was really clever, and the scenes where she's on the Bat Pod and the Bat Pod's like making sharp turns, the wheels are like flipping over, like that stuff was awesome.
I want to know, like, did Batman give her a brief like tutorial on how to write that shit? Because like probably. She was pretty like epic on it. Okay, but you know, comparing her though to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in Batman Returns, like Michelle Pfeiffer still will always be the most amazing Catwoman. Like when Michelle Pfeiffer does the flip towards Batman and the penguin, and then you know the building behind them blows up and she goes meow, and I was like, yo,
okay, yeah,
that's still in my mind, man.
Catwoman in this film exploded Bane. Okay, like it's point blank.
It's not the same Catwoman, obviously. No, it's a different Catwoman. This is Christopher Nolan's version of Catwoman.
Well, I mean, clearly, Halle Berry's Catwoman was the pinnacle of, was just the greatest. You know, I'm glad that Anne didn't try to surpass that because she couldn't have. Because
have there been any other actors or actresses that have played DC and Marvel characters like she did? Because she played Storm also from X-Men. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Christopher Nolan, kudos to you for making an amazing movie. This is an amazing ending to the trilogy. Fine, there was not that much action, but listen, if you've been a fan of Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, then you already understand how Christopher Nolan makes movies, and you're not looking for that anyway. Those of you who are complaining that it wasn't as action oriented as Avengers, shame on you. Apparently, you don't understand the difference between the two movies.
No Batman film has been pure action. This is what separates it from the previous Batman films because it's not cartoony. It is much more like the graphic novels. Christopher Nolan, I mean, it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite trilogy. It replaced Lord of the Rings. I'll say this right now, it's up there. Like, this is our generation Star Wars. Whether you say Lord of the Rings is our generation Star Wars, for me, it's the Batman Nolan trilogy. The music, the acting, the characters, the fact that everyone retained the role.
Yeah.
Alfred played Michael Caine's film played an amazing role. He played that father figure, and there was a lot of emotion from him. I didn't think he'd get that much screen time.
Yeah.
He played a great role. You know, Christian Bale, your voice still is annoying, but you played a fantastic Bruce Wayne, and I mean, I came out of the movie and I was like giggling like a little girl.
Okay, before we drop the Dark Knight Rises, I'm gonna touch this really quickly because I know it pisses you off. Some people say that at the end, Batman died, and when Alfred saw Selina Kyle and Bruce in that cafe, wherever the hell that was just in his mind and is what he wanted to see. I don't believe that's the case. I think he lived, but a lot of people think that...
No, there's no thinking, okay? If you watch the same movies I did, there is a clip at the very end where Lucius Fox goes to his engineers and realizes that Bruce replaced autopilot. Obviously, if he fixed autopilot, means he can exit the bat and not get exploded by a neutron bomb. Then there's a clip of Gordon walking to the bat signal, which he broke at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises, which is miraculously fixed. And he has a smile on his face.
So people, I think you guys missed the point. The ending of the movie was supposed to mean maybe, Bruce's Batman died, and but Bruce Wayne himself.
He's come back. He's lived. There's so many there's so many pieces or so many sets revealed in the first movie that come full circle in this one. Yeah. Like when Bruce Wayne first meets Ra's al Ghul, they're fighting. He becomes Batman because he breaks through ice.
Yep.
The first time you see Batman, the second time you see Batman in Dark Knight Rises, he's walking in on ice talking to Gordon when he's being, executed by the hilarious Scarecrow judge, which is the sold, you're dead. Like there's that, he falls into the pit, he becomes Batman, he comes out of the pit as Bruce Wayne. Like all these like allegories and like references, like you have to watch it. If you think the ending sequence is a Inception type of, which way is it gonna go? You're an idiot. He's alive. Alfred's not dreaming. Robin, whatever, is the new Batman. End of story.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was actually afraid though, and I talked to you, about this before, that the scene where, you see Alfred in the cafe and he looks up and he's all like smiling, giggling, and the camera's looking at his face, and the camera stays on him for like a prolonged amount of time. I thought that the camera, the screen would fade to black.
But that would have been great because
if that had happened, I would scream.
No, because that would have implied that, because when they first showed that scene, they stopped, right?
Yeah.
I think it would have had more of an impact if you there was a lot of focus on the pearls that Selina Kyle stole from Bruce Wayne. Think about it, if they only focused in on like the pearls or like an item Bruce Wayne would, rather than explicitly showing their faces, fine, to make it obvious.
Yeah.
Or just having Alfred look at the camera and nod or something would have been like...
No, that would have pissed me off.
No, because and Christopher Nolan makes smart movies. If half the audience had half a brain, they would have realized that there is no potential. He is alive, but he has to spoon feed you, guys still can't realize that he's alive. Like,
that's the thing. Like, okay, listen, if the camera had faded to black on his face, I would have known, listen, yeah, Bruce survived because, I paid attention to the ending of the movie. But
you should.
But still, it would have pissed me off because I know that a lot of people would not have believed that. And then there would be a lot of debate and people going like, no, he's alive. And they're like, no, he's dead.
But that's the thing, he nods, right? Which means he's looking at someone. So fine, they show Bruce, they show Selina looking over. Okay, everyone's alive. They're not talking because the last time they spoke, Bruce fires Alfred. So you don't know if they're on good terms or not. But yes, he's alive. He's no longer Batman. His protege, which walks into the Batcave in the exact same way Bruce, finds the Batcave. The bats come. He rises up on the platform, indicating the Dark Knight has risen.
Yeah.
There's a new Batman. Best movie ever.
Isn't that amazing though that the implication of the Dark Knight Rises throughout the movie is everywhere? When Bruce finally gets out of the pit, like the Dark Knight Rises. At the end, when Robin Blake, discovers a cave, again, the Batman Rises. This is like, I'm sorry.
It's smart writing. If anything, I'll give it that. It is very long. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes. There are some scenes that are really drawn out. Like there's one portion where after the city has been taken over, it's under martial law. Like he focuses on like these 3 FBI agents, and like you see them die, and like
but what's the point of that?
I don't know. Like they're like, we got this, and then they get shot up, and then you see their bodies hanging. I mean, you could have skipped a lot of that stuff. So there's some stuff that was drawn out. Some of the voice, some of the acting was so like the worst actor. It just boggles my mind, and I'm glad it's at the beginning. Was the FBI agent from The Wire or whatever that interrogates Bane. Like he was like acting out of the Batman movie out of the 60s, like super hokey, super forced delivery. I'm like, what? Really? Like I hope he dies a horrible death, and he did. He got blown up in the plane. Like that was an amazing sequence, by the way.
No, the
mid-air hijacking. Wow, that was awesome.
The beginning sequence was good. Like you said, when I first heard Bane's voice, I was kind of like, you know, like I was kind of
people.
Oh God! Oh.
I can't even do it. I sound like Yoda every time I do it.
I was a little like skeptical, but then for some reason, as the movie just progresses, you're just like, yeah, it just makes perfect sense. So yes, we're gonna end it off here, right? Because I can keep going on forever.
We're running out of time. Man.
Okay, kudos to you. Christopher Nolan, I forgot his name for a second.
Christopher Nolan, Warner Brothers, Syncope,
Hans Zimmer,
Michael Caine, Christian Bale, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, Heath Ledger, Liam Neeson.
The entire cast of Inception minus Leonardo DiCaprio.
Poor Leonardo DiCaprio, but yeah, like it is a fantastic ending to a fantastic set of movies. Music, you know, as I say in all my game reviews, kudos to everyone involved. It is a masterpiece.
It's amazing. Shame on you, Joel Schumacher, for killing Batman initially the way you did.
Thank God he did, though, because we had these, you know.
Yeah, but do you know they were actually going to make a fifth movie called Batman Infinite?
Yep.
It would have been just terrible.
Well, because, what's it called? Batman and Robin was such a joke.
It was such an amazing movie. No.
I used to sue you.
Oh, man. I'm sure George Clooney gets
I guess another thing that really pissed me off about that. Batman is a freaking billionaire. Why does Batman need a fucking Amex black card?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen Batman and Robin in such a long time, but I want to see what Bane was like because I forgot. And yeah, it's completely forgettable. He's a total joke. He's like, bleh. And then Voice reminds me like, yeah, there's a scene where he pulls out his bat card. Like, come on, man. Like, oh my God, thank God. That's, you know, never again.
I just, you know, pretend it never happened. That's it for us. I don't know what to say here. We're done.
We're done. We're gonna finally have some reviews again. Expect some Kingdom Hearts. Expect a 3DS XL review. Expect Transformers War for Cybertron.
You'll be playing that. I will not be playing that.
Voice is gonna be playing that. There's gonna be fall season coming up, so we got a lot of games coming. So the Wii U's coming up. So summer season's dying down. Expect some really cool stuff from the GamerNerdz. Some new shows, more sudden death, more GamerNerdz reviews, and a lot more GamerNerdz Now Loading podcasts.
And so follow us on Twitter, you know, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, go to our website, all the GamerNerdz. That's it. Voice, he's Dinx. We're out.
I'm like, I want to do the Bane bye.
Yeah, people, got him.